The home video update is sponsored by you. Yes, you. Head on over to patreon.com/home video update to join as a patron to unlock exclusive membership benefits. Thank you for supporting the home video update. Hi guys, it's Mike. It is just coming up to 9 AM on the 1st of the 1st, 2023. So happy new home media year. We're going to start as we always start, same format. This is going to end up being my top 20 list of the year episode. And I hate doing lists like this, I'll say from the beginning, because I always change my mind, or I forget something, or the stuff I haven't watched, which I'll try and remember the stuff I haven't watched I really want to watch, and go into that when we get to the list later on. But first, we'll start with the normal bits and bobs. So what I've been watching. Start with Sully. I saw this in the IMAX in Birmingham. It's a Cineworld IMAX. It's not a great IMAX. It's kind of like a big super screen sort of thing. I was up in Birmingham. I was on a training course or something like that, and I wanted to see something. I wanted to see Sully. It was filmed in IMAX, so it is a locked 1.90:1 ratio, I think it was. And it looked great, and it's, again, another version lost to time. I watched it on 4K. It's still got an amazing sound mix, that film, for a modern film. As we know, not a big fan of modern sound mixes on this podcast. Then I watched the film Morbius. Then, skipping straight over that was just shockingly bad. I had to watch it. It's a 2022 movie. Everyone talked about it. I had to see it, so I saw it. No. I rewatched Avatar before I saw Way of the Water. People heard my reviewish podcast on that last week. I watched the super extended version. There's some issues with that version. I think CGI looks as good as the finished sort of theatrical cut of the movie. I don't think it's as good as it could be. But it's it's okay. It's got a massive advertisement for Panasonic in it, which is weird. Again, I actually bought some batteries for my 3D glasses for my Sony 4K TV, just because I wanted to have a look at Home 3D again. Weirdly, there's some issues going on with it, because I downloaded a couple of side-by-side videos just to try out some real depth stuff, and for some reason, all the players I linked it to, all the stuff I tried to play it back with, it wouldn't go into 3D mode, it wouldn't flip side-by-side, and it just wouldn't work. I don't know if it's the firmware updates mucked it up or something else has happened, because it's a 2015 TV. It's very old by now. So it could just be they've left it alone. But Avatar 3D Blu-ray through my old 4K player looked great. The problem is it's my bedroom TV now. There's no 5.1. There's no nothing else. So I'm not going to exactly watch something in there. I have been looking at 3D headsets, virtual reality headsets, sorry. There's ways to watch 3D. So I've done the idea of a big floating void or a fake cinema. I'm not sure if that's the way forward. But I am keeping an eye on those. I'll update that when I update that. I watched the German 4K of The Running Man. Decent presentation. There is some stuff going on about saying it's a down mix in the 2.0 channels. I wait to hear from someone I trust, like a Spencer or someone like that, about that. Someone who knows more about audio than the people on these forums, because I don't buy a lot of their vitriolic bollocks because they're all against original audio mostly anyway, and I don't really know. It sounded okay to me, but I'm not the biggest fan of The Running Man. The only version I own is the, I think, Fabulous Films Blu-ray. I've got a 4K Dolby stream, and here comes the yawning. I've got a Rubicon that I'll be sipping away at throughout this, so that will hopefully stop me yawning at some point during the broadcast, so we'll see. Yeah, it's okay. It looks good. It feels all right. I'm quite happy with it. I'm not going to, completely lose my mind about it. It's an okay film. I've always liked it. It's a fun little sci-fi film. It looks good in the German 4K, and it was really cheap, so I'd just go with that. I know they've announced the standard edition Paramount have in the US, and I don't know if that's worth it. I'd rather go with the 4K, the German version. I watched Gemini Man. As soon as I walked out, I think I said it on the Avatar podcast, so people haven't listened to that because I have no interest in Where the Water. I walked out of that. I saw it in IMAX high frame rate Xenon, dual Xenon 3D. And I wanted to see the high frame rate thing. Now, every time I go into CX over here, which is a sort of second-hand retailer, they always have like 17 copies of Gemini Man on 4K. It's the one they always seem to have. And for some reason, they didn't have any copies where I was in Plymouth or in my hometown or anywhere around. So I went to HMV and they had it in the 2 for 24. So I thought 12 quid isn't too bad. And I immediately picked up Resident Evil Extinction, the Russell McKay one, which is the one I want to own. The only ones I want to own now of that are Extinction and the original, because I've got the other ones that I want to own. I have no interest in 2. I've no interest in the rest of, But anyway, so I want to see high frame rate. So I saw this in 3D high frame rate when it first came out. I thought it looked amazing. It's not the perfect film. I like how it degenerates into like Rambo First Blood at the end. It's got some moments. Some of the action's pretty cool. The bike chase is pretty cool. Now, I'm not sure what I saw it in. Now, I was told it was high frame rate plus, which was 120 frames per second, but I don't think it was. My local shitty cinema, probably not, but it was advertised high frame rate plus, which is meant to be 120 frames per second, 3D. Now, the 3D version on Blu-ray is 24 frames per second, because that's all it can handle. The 4K is 60. Now, because this is in spec but out of spec, a lot of players have a problem with this, along with Dolby Vision. So I whacked it on with Dolby Vision. It started working absolutely fine. About 40 minutes into the film, it had a fit, and it was having none of it. So I had to turn off Dolby Vision and go back, which it ran flawlessly afterwards. It made no difference in the visuals to me anyway. I still like how it looks. I think there are sometimes it helps sell it. I think that the CGI, especially the de-aging, is amazing, apart from right at the end where it's like the big finish, where he's in the sunlight, and it doesn't work. It's terrible. But in the dark, a few other scenes, it looks pretty flawless, actually. I think it looks really fantastic, and it works in high frame rate. I think the visual aspect of it works. I know Cameron, I don't want to get too much in the way of the water, said that, he, between The Running Man and Gemini Man, I saw Avatar, actually. Yeah, but Cameron said it didn't work for, like, dialogue scenes, high frame rate, but it works for action scenes, but he didn't even follow those rules, so I think some of it looks like looking through a window. It's amazingly vivid, and the colours are amazing, and the realism of it is fantastic, but it's not a great film. I watched Violent Night, the David Harbour remake of Die Hard 1 and 2, is what I call it, because it is. There's scenes in it where it's like, it's a guy trapped somewhere who has to battle terrorists, snowmobiles, and icicle kills. It is literally that. It's fun. It's silly fun. It's bit too long, over nearly 2 hours. I lost interest quite early on, and then it grabbed me back when David Harbour started killing people. That was quite fun. It's fun. It's silly. it's good laugh. It's not very good, but it's a good laugh. I think it's worth a watch. It's not terrible. It's fun for a silly little Christmas throwaway movie. I watched Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I've tried to watch it 2 times before this. Finally finished it. I liked it a lot. I think it peaked with the fanny pack fight at the beginning. Bum bag for the UK listeners. That's where it peaked for me. I think it dropped off a little bit after that. I think the ideas were clever. I think it was really fun. I think it was really well directed, especially for the low budget it had. I think it's good, very good indeed. Um, I watched Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio on Netflix. Beautiful looking. Ewan McGregor's amazing. It was just, I just didn't like it. Didn't hit for me at all. Don't really know why. I didn't like the songs. Is the main thing. The songs were terrible. I know they can't use the Disney songs because they're the Disney songs, but for some reason it just didn't click with me. Just it didn't work as a film. Visually, like I say, it's great. I mean, it felt like a Wes Anderson stop motion thing almost, but with less charm. That's the thing. It didn't really have any charm. It's just like because we have to. Here's Ron Perlman because it's Guillermo del Toro. I watched Glass Onion, Nice Out Mystery on Netflix. Great, absolutely love that film. Great cast, great plotting. I didn't see a lot of it coming, and I normally do. Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. What can I say about this? I mean, we don't have Thanksgiving in the UK, so I always look at this as a Christmas movie, and that's why I watched it on the 24th. It's great. It still holds up. That 4K is disastrous. Like absolutely disgustingly bad. It looks out of focus at times. It's not even just DNR. It's just a mess. It's such a bad. It seems like a misaligned, misfocused transfer. It's terrible. I watched Brian and Charles, about a man named Brian who makes a robot called Charles out of a washing machine and a mannequin head. It is legitimately heartwarming. It's very much like a Welsh Wes Anderson movie. I'm saying Wes Anderson a lot here. He didn't release anything this year, so I then watched Strange World. This is all on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I had like a bit of a run. So Plane, Trains, Automobiles, Brian Charles, and then I watched Strange World, the new Disney animated film. Did take quite a while and didn't really hold my attention, which is a shame because I quite like the idea of it, and I know it got slammed by people calling it woke or whatever crap they want to call these things. Because there's a gay character in it. Oh no, whatever will we do? I just think it's pathetic. I think, it's people are people, humans are humans. It's a fun little movie. I don't think it's very good is the problem. It's too loosely plotted. It doesn't have any pace or energy. It doesn't keep you going. It doesn't want you to, you can solve the mysteries of what's going on pretty quickly. And it seems quite proud of itself with its main sort of mystery, and I don't think it should be. I don't think it earns that. So yeah, it didn't really do anything special for me. Didn't do anything amazing. It was fine. It was, again, a bit too long, hour 42 minutes for a kids film. Can't we just get them down to an hour and a half, really? It's fine. Then I watched a Christmas movie, Lethal Weapon 2. It's less Christmassy than I remember it. I remember it always being a Christmas movie. I know it's not a Shane Black movie strictly, because Jeffrey Boehm had a lot more to do with it than Shane Black actually did. But it's still, I think, in my head, a Christmas movie, especially since Joel Silver said that he, after he had a big hit with Lethal Weapon, would always release his films on Christmas because it made more sense. Because then every year you get a repeat sort of, pick up in an interest in it. It just reminded me of like the UK versions back when, where they were like seriously cut, and it's really. But if you want to look at Movie Censorship and see how badly it was cut, I'm not talking about the fake director's cuts because they're not director's cuts. I'm talking about the censorship. There's a bit where Riggs empties his gun into a guy and goes back through the names in his head of the people who have been murdered. But that's not in it. When he slams the guy's head in the car door, that's not in it. There's so many bits that when I finally imported the US, it was the director's cuts. When I got the director's cut box set, They're not director's cuts, but that's what they're called. When I got that box set, I was like, oh my God, what is this version? It's like completely uncut. It's amazing. And I had no idea that it was that badly cut. But yeah, I still think it's a worthy sequel. I think it should have been the original film that he wrote, Play Dirty, I think it was called. Because he still thinks it's the best script he's ever written. And I'd like to see Riggs die and it be sort of done at 2 movies, but I still like the sequels. Yes, so that was my last film, Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, I wanted to watch something Christmassy, and I normally do the alternative thing, but I watched Home Alone. I watched it on Disney Plus, and it looks okay, but the bitrate was all over the place and it's distracting. Then I realised that I've got the Dolby Vision version on iTunes. I don't own this on physical media at all, on any format. I saw it in the cinema when it came out like 6 times, 7 times, and for some reason never bought it. I don't know why. But yeah, I've got the 4K version on iTunes, which I think they actually gave away free one year. Like very long time ago, like when the iPhone 3G came out, I think I got it. And they've upgraded to Dolby Vision. I watched it on that, and it was a much better quality stream. Then on Boxing Day, I watched Without a Clue. Now, this is my Spanish bootleg that turned up. Now, I don't want to get too much into this because it's been going for a while already. But for some reason, I knew it was a bootleg. I knew there were problems. The Kino version, not Kino, Olive Films version, is either very expensive, or it was a lot more than this anyway. And it's region locked. Now, I can get past some of the region locks with my Panasonic player by doing the top menu trick. It works for some titles, but not all. I don't have a region-free Blu-ray player. I've never had one. I know a lot of people cry out about this and say I should have, but I don't have one. I have one 4K player. I had one Blu-ray player. I had like consoles that play Blu-ray. I didn't have anything else. That's what I had. So I don't have a region-free player, so I went for this bootleg because it was cheap. Now, I don't mind that they've changed the title on the main titles. When you play the movie, the title plays the Spanish title, like a title card in the movie. Don't mind that. It's a Spanish release. It is what it is. It's fine. However, it's got 4 subtitles that my Panasonic cannot turn off. No matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of them. But it's more the audio. So if it's a film that was released with anywhere near Dolby Surround, I always put it into the surround mode on the receiver, because obviously, why wouldn't I? That makes sense to me, I want to hear it in surround, so I put it into surround mode on my thing because it was meant to be heard in surround. That makes perfect sense to me. So I did that, and for some reason, all the dialogue was coming out of the left channel and everything else out the right channel. It was the weirdest thing in the world. It was so strange and disorientating. The only time I've ever heard this before was with a very Brady sequel that's on Paramount Plus, and I made a complaint, and that's during the trial, and that's where I thought, well, I'm never going to go for Paramount Plus. I'm going to sod it off. I'm not interested in Paramount Plus. Absolute waste of time. Well, I actually did go with Paramount Plus in the end because they did that deal where it was only £20 for the year, I think it was, which was a stupidly good deal. So I thought, well, I'm going to do that, obviously. And yeah, it's Paramount Plus is a disaster. But yeah, this version of Without a Clue, the audio screwed. So I ended up forcing mono, so it all went through the center channel because the only way it sounded okay. But it still sounded really phasey and really echoey and really weird, and it was horrible to listen to. I tried listening to it through the TV speakers, and that was worse because, again, it had the same problem. It had the dialogue on the left-hand side and everything else on the for the right-hand side. It made no sense. It was really messed up and just broken. So disappointing. I know it's a bootleg. I knew you get what you pay for, but it was cheap and it was worth a try, and I love that movie. Then after that, I watched The Bad Guys, which I really like. The Bad Guys. It was fun. I used to be a snob about animated movies when CG animated movies started happening. I only watched Disney or Pixar, and that was it. I've never seen a Minions movie. I've never seen Despicable Me. I've never seen Megamind, all these other things. I saw the first 2 Shrek movies, and that's it, I think. But The Bad Guys was fun. Then I watched a really underrated movie, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I watched that in 4K stream. I loved it in the cinema. I've loved it ever since it came out. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's really, really underrated. And it should have been a franchise. It should have made enough money to be a franchise. And sadly, it didn't. Obviously, Armie Hammer is a disaster area, and we can't go anywhere near him. Henry Cavill has made some bad choices with his career, so there's been issues there. I think it's well plotted, good fun little spy caper. I liked it better than a couple of the Craig Bonds. I think it's a lot better than that, a lot more fun, a lot more kooky, especially for the fact it's a 60s movie. It is good fun and a good laugh, and I think that it deserved a lot better, really. It should have been bigger than it was, and it's a shame that it wasn't. Hopefully, Guy Ritchie now having a bit more clout with the Disney money, he might be able to go back to it. Armie Hammer, I think, needs to be recast, but I think, sadly, it's one of these things that, the Weekly Planet call it the game is afoot, where they think that, hey, we're going to set up a new series of films, and this is our franchise starter, and it doesn't work. And that was one of those. Then, again, streaming only with this one. I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff edition. Stupid name. I hadn't seen it since cinema. I don't own it because I missed out on the Steelbook 3 times, and I want Steelbook for it because all my Marvel stuff's in Steelbook. It's sad, I know. It's okay. Some of the stuff I wish they hadn't cut because I thought it was fantastic. Some of it seemed kind of pointless, but a lot of it I would have kept. It's a lot of really good laughs and really good funny little moments, especially with Betsy Brandt. I liked it. It was fun. It was worth a watch. I wouldn't break your neck going and try and see it because it's a lot longer. It's nearly 3 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes, something like that, All Fun Stuff edition. It's quite a bit longer. But it's still a good movie. I still think it's fun. And for some reason, I thought that came out this year. I was planning, my top 20 list around that being out this year, but it weirdly wasn't. I'd completely forgotten when that movie came out, which says something for the supposed cultural impact of it. I like it a lot. Obviously, with the surprise of, the cameos and all these other bits and bobs, it makes more of a thing when you think of, oh my God, this is happening. And the surprise was the main deal of it. I think when you take that away, it suffers a little bit. But it doesn't suffer that much. It still has its moments and it's still quite good. But it's not, absolutely perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's close but no cigar is what I'd call it. It's getting there, but it's quite far from perfect by a large stretch of the imagination, but it is still quite good. Then I got a bit of a deal. Like I said with the Resident Evils earlier, that I wouldn't get the box sets for these things because I don't need them. However, the box set for the Mad Max anthology, I think they call it, accidentally went on sale for about £20 something on Amazon. That's insane because the individual films are about 20 each. So I thought, well, all I wanted was Thunderdome and Mad Max 2. Because I've already got the Kino Mad Max 1 and I've got Mad Max Fury Road 4K anyway, so I don't need them. However, this was so cheap I couldn't resist picking it up. So I watched Mad Max 2, and these are the fixed versions. The UK box set came out later, so it was the fixed versions for the audio. And I'll lump these two together. I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome straight after, pretty much, and I have to say that all my talking on here about archival releases, and they should be like the best they can for pitch quality, sound quality, for the original sound mixes, for the original coloring, all this other stuff. It should be original. These are. They are great. Mad Max 2 has the color right finally. Beyond Thunderdome, there's no gate weave anymore. The colors are locked in. There's a ton of rough optical shots because that's what they were. It's sort of optical composites and fades and stuff. That's the way it's always looks, the way it should look. The sound is perfect. The Thunderdome uses surrounds here and there, but not often. Mad Max 2 barely does. They are great. They sound great. They look great. They are fantastic. If you haven't picked them up or you're on the fence about this, if you like the Mad Max movies, pick them up. I'd prefer the Kino version of Mad Max 1 because it has a lot more extras, better audio choices, and better encoding. It's just a better release. Fury Road doesn't really matter. It comes with black and chrome, but I have that Steelbook anyway, black and chrome the normal one, so it doesn't really matter to me. But these are great archival quality releases. They are fantastic, and they're pretty much definitive. I don't think we can beat this. I think it's as good as it's going to get unless something else major happens. Then I watched a film I've wanted to watch for a very long time. I actually got a couple of responses from the director on Twitter about this. I watched Duncan Jones's Mute. I've liked Duncan Jones. I love Moon. It's fantastic. I love Source Code. Absolutely great film that should have had a bigger audience. I even like Warcraft, and I don't like Warcraft. I don't like the games. The RTSs, World of Warcraft, don't care. But I like that movie. It was great fun. I got the 4K of it. I think it's good. And then Mute. Everyone slated it. I wanted to see it because my favourite game is Syndicate from 1993, and there is a syndicate of bad guys in it called the Syndicate who look like the guys from Syndicate the game. So he's obviously a fan, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Did you mean that on Twitter like years ago? And he went, oh yeah, of course I do. That's why they're called the Syndicate. But then I reached out and said, look, hey, this is really amazing. Really, really loved it. Should have been a hit. And he was quite complimentary and quite nice about it. Then I noticed Noel Clarke being really dodgy towards women, and, well, no acting there then, is there? And he said, yeah, that was a bit of a revelation, uncomfortable that was. And it's like, well, no one knows. He was in Star Trek, what was it, Into Darkness as well, and a lot of other things. You know, people hired Noel Clarke for some reason. I thought he was a bit of a skis bag. But it's great. If you like cyberpunky sci-fi movies, it's great. And Paul Rudd is a real badass scumbag in it. And I wasn't expecting that because you don't expect Paul Rudd to be, like, threatening. And he is. He's really threatening and really dangerous. And it's quite scary. Not scary, but you know what I mean? Like, really threatening and really, you know, I don't know, really dangerous he seems. And it's a good little film that deserved a lot more. It looks good. The production design's good. I think Alexander Skarsgård's really good in it. And the whole cast is very good in it, actually. I think it's definitely worth watching. It's in the Moon universe. If you've not really heard anything about Duncan Jones post-Moon, but you like Moon, watch Mute. It's in the same universe. So his new film, Maddie, which is based on the graphic novel that he did. I like this. I think more people should watch it. And if you're on the fence, watch Mute on Netflix. It's a really good movie. Then disappointment came. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The Kenneth Branagh directed film from 1994, I think it was. I liked it when it came out. I didn't see it in the cinema. I rented it on VHS, I think it's the first time I saw it. I liked it then. I thought it was really, really good. But that's a teenage brain. I think that Francis Ford Coppola was going to do it originally. Then he bowed out. Branagh came in and he fell out with every single person. He fell out with Frank Darabont, who rewrote it. He loved his script and it didn't appear on screen, apparently. Coppola hated him. And I can see sort of why. I think there's some good moments. I think that Robert De Niro does good work in a bad film. I don't want to say it's a bad film because I kind of still like it, but it's not very good. It's not like Bram Stoker's Dracula level. I like Branagh a lot, like a hell of a lot. Um, I just think this is his ego out of check, and I think that's what it is. But then he went on to do like Hamlet and stuff. He's like, I don't know. I think it's just he doesn't really work. And also, what the hell is going on with Arrow? Because oh my god, I'll touch on this in a bit with something else. But I stick up for Arrow a lot. They've had a lot of problems going into 4K. During pandemic, their quality control has gone off a cliff. It's not like bad, but it's pretty bad. So this is a film from 1994. It is a film that had a SDDS 8 mix, so an 8-channel Sony digital. God, what was that acronym? Digital something sound? Can't remember. Digital dynamic sound? Yeah. Dynamic digital sound, one of the other ones. So it's an 8-channel sound mix. It had a 5.1 Dolby Digital mix because obviously it did. It's post 1991 and it's a big release. This has audio from the 35mm, so the 2.0 track, and then it's upmixed to 5.1. Why? Chase upmixed to 5.1 by Chase Audio, it says in the booklet. It had an 8-channel sound mix. It had a 5.1 mix. Now, Arrow only getting what Sony gives them, but what the hell is that about? There's no reason for that. It's a terrible, terrible 5.1 upmix. Terrible. Stick with the 2.0 audio if you can. Another film that I really wanted to see and didn't actually get around to. I've had it sealed on Blu-ray for years, and that's really depressing. Is Stretch, the Joe Carnahan movie. I love Joe Carnahan movies. Most of them are really, really good. Some are a bit middling and some aren't great, but I like Stretch a lot. I think Stretch is good fun. I had a smile ear to ear. I think that it's a shame it flopped. It's a shame it did nothing because it deserved to do something because it's genuinely good fun. It's kind of like The Transporter, but more listless. It's a shame. It had like a $5 million budget and made $4,000. That's a shame because that killed his directing career. Post A-Team and things like this, it just killed his career, and it's sad because it's such a well-done action movie. The cast and the cameos are amazing, absolutely amazing. Patrick Wilson is the lead. Jessica Alba is like his backup. I won't tell you who the other main character is because it's a spoiler, and he's not credited for it either, which is amazing. He's in half the movie. But watch Stretch. It's great. If you have a way of watching Stretch, watch it because it's fantastic fun. Then I watched the last good thing J.J. Abrams wrote, which was regarding Henry, Mike Nichols' movie with Harrison Ford. I just wanted something to watch, and I had it on iTunes because it was in a sale, and I've always loved this movie. Weirdly, I liked J.J. Abrams stuff when I was a kid. I used to watch this all the time, and Filofax, which I think is called Taking Care of Business in the US. And a few other things he wrote is Jeffrey Abrams. It also has a cameo in this as well. It's a fun little film. I think it's a little bit heartstring pulley, but I didn't mind that. I wanted something like low rent after watching Stretch, low engagement because Stretch is quite full on and hardcore. Then I watched Kimmy, a Steven Soderbergh film from this year, last year now, bloody hell. I've always liked that. I wish I'd watched it nearer the time. As a COVID movie, it works quite well. Good little action thriller. It's suffers a little bit from bungling bad guy itis, but I didn't mind that. It was quite fun, quite tense, and very well made. Then I watched a film that's really sadly forgotten. I watched Hotel Artemis, which me and my brother saw in the cinema and really loved. We saw it for the cast and for Drew Pearce. I got Jodie Foster, Sterling K. Brown, Jeff Goldblum, Sophia Boutella, is it? I can never pronounce her name. Brian Tyree Henry, Jenny Slate, Dave Bautista. I mean, we really saw it for Dave Bautista and Jodie Foster. The trailers look really good. And we really liked it in the cinema. I still really like it. It reminded me of, I want to watch Bad Times at El Royale, but I don't have it on disc. So I went on Disney Plus, which it used to be on. It's not on there anymore. Like, it's not streaming anywhere. So I don't know what happened to that. It fell off a cliff. So I wanted to watch something like that, some twisty-turny. So I watched Hotel Artemis. And I think it's fun. Set in the future where there's a big riot going on in LA. Hotel Artemis is a place where people who are normally bad guys go to get fixed up by Jodie Foster, who plays the nurse. And I still like it. I still think it's good. I need to get the 4K of it, actually. I don't own it physically because I was waiting for a 4K release that never came. It's in Germany, I think, and another couple of places, but it's SDR only. I need to pick it up somewhere. I've got a streaming version on Google Play, which is how I watch it on YouTube. Because it runs at 60 frames, 60p, so interpolated up to 60. Some of the dialogue were weird because it didn't quite sync up. It was a bit of a mess. It's a shame. But I still like it. I think it's a good little film. Drew Pearce hasn't got a career because it made no money. I mean, he wrote Iron Man 3. He should be able to write any checks he wants. Same as Shane Black. Even after Predator, he should be able to write any check he wants because he made $1 billion movie. And that's how that works, surely. Then, last film of last year, I watched, of course, Strange Days, which I think is the ultimate movie for like a New Year film. I've always loved this movie. I loved it. I first saw it on VHS. I own 3 different laserdiscs of it, I think. It's something like that. It's really, really weird. Yeah. It's one of these films that should have been a lot bigger. I mean, it's the last good thing James Cameron got involved with by a long way. Catherine Bigelow obviously went on to bigger, better things. It did okay. It didn't flop by any means. It is one of the best sound mixes ever made, especially the opening scenes where you're in the squid playback of a robbery and the guy who's, you're playing as almost. You're watching his part of the robbery. He is literally in the rear channels and everything else is in the front channels. It's really effectively done. There's some more like that later on. Gunshots sound like gunshots. It's a bit more realistic than the camera movies are, especially Terminator 2, which has in places a terrible Foley work, especially the gunshots and stuff, like really terribly done. I love Strange Days. I've got the German Blu-ray. It's probably the best it's going to get for now. Fox don't care. They don't care about stuff like that anymore. With Lightstorm, obviously, you think Cameron's got a bit more play on it, but also he didn't write all of it. I can't remember the guy's name. He also wrote Titanic. He did most of the dialogue and everything else. Cameron gave him the idea and the plot, and he wrote the dialogue. I think it could be more than the sum of its parts. I think it could go on to bigger, better things. It could go a lot further. It's a shame it hasn't quite got to that point as of yet. I don't know. Maybe because of he was married to Catherine Bigelow at the time, and they're quite, very divorced. Maybe that's what stepped away from it. Maybe that's what's put it into a bit of limbo because Cameron doesn't care, obviously. Bigelow hasn't got the big push like she once had, maybe. She did have that push at one point where, post Hurt Locker, she could have maybe pushed for it to come out on something. But I'm glad I've got a version of it. I'm glad I've got, a decent sounding version of it. A decent looking version of it. It's good looking enough for what it is. It could do with a new master. I do want to pop on the latest today just to watch the original Dolby digital version because just to see what it looks like. I think I've got the DTS version as well. I know I've got the PAL version. I'm going to have a look at that today and see what I think of that. So that's what I've been watching. We'll pop onto news because it's only going to be very quick because I couldn't find any news. I did have a quick look around. I mean, there are steelbooks coming out for the Star Wars trilogy. Yay. More interesting is they're doing steelbooks of the first 4 weirdly Rocky movies. I don't know why they're only the first 4. I don't know why there's not all of them up to Balboa. That makes no sense to me. There's obviously a reason for it. I don't know what's going on because MGM own them all. Warner Brothers distribute MGM stuff now. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. And as my brother pointed out, I think it's Rocky 2's got an image from Rocky 3 on the cover. So it makes no sense and is kind of stupid. Rocky's 4's meant to have both versions, I think, which is what it'd have to have. I mean, I'll pick them up, obviously, because I like the Rocky movies. You know, it's a no-brainer. I just don't understand why they haven't done all of them and only some of them. That's a really weird choice. And the actual good news is Kino are releasing Face Off. Why? Why? How is Paramount not putting this out themselves? I mean, I have no issue with this. I love Face Off. Face Off's great. I've got 2 copies of it on Laserdisc, weirdly. I saw it in the cinema the day it came out. I've always loved it. That year was amazing for action films. It was God, what was it? It was Con Air. That was 1997, wasn't it? Yep. And I want to say, yeah, The Fifth Element. It was like all in the space of like a month and a half was those 3 back to back. It was such a good summer. I was in the cinema every single day that summer. It was so good. And then I'm pretty sure that's the summer of Batman and Robin where it went crashing down. But it was so amazing that summer. All those action movies and all that sci-fi goodness. It was so good. I was so hyped by it. And I don't know why. This must not have been a big seller for Paramount then. I don't understand why, because people love this movie. I don't see why it's not something they put out unless they really wanted to put out and Kino really pushed for it and paid a lot of money for it. I don't understand. Maybe it'll be a Paramount Presents later on. I don't really know. I've got the UK Blu-ray from Touchstone, Disney, whatever. Obviously, it won't come out in 4K in the UK, same as Air Force One, because it was a split distribution deal. So you had things like, what was it called? Starship Troopers, that was Sony/Disney. You had Unbreakable, that was Disney and who was the other place? I can't remember. The same with The Prestige and quite a few others where they split an Air Force One, Sony, Disney, where you won't get a 4K version in the UK because Disney don't care, whereas Sony and Kino and Paramount and whoever else do care. You know, these things apparently are interchangeable, and it's just a weird, strange thing. But yeah, I'm glad to put it out. It's got a new 4K restoration. Doesn't need a restoration. It's filmed from 1997. It's just, yeah, it's weird and it's cool, and I'm happy that they're putting it out. It's a really good thing. And I'm happy to see it. So fantastic. It's just a really weird thing to do. And I'll see what the extras are because it had no extras on Laserdisc. I don't know what's on the Blu-ray, actually. Hold on. I will pause and I will go and grab my Blu-ray and see if there's actually anything on there. Yep, as I thought, absolutely nothing. And it's got the trailer on there, and that was it. I was able to put my hands on it because I saw it yesterday. Yeah, really weird. I mean, only because I don't see why Paramount aren't doing it themselves. It makes no sense. You'd think they would because it's such a big title. It's got big actors in it. I don't get it. I really don't get that one. I mean, I'm happy it's coming out. But I also don't understand why Paramount aren't doing it themselves because of how big it is. It just seems like a weird choice. I also this morning found in my post box, which must have come yesterday, my Spanish bootleg of True Lies, which isn't meant to be coming until next year. until the 9th of January. It is next year already. I've got to get in the habit of saying that. I might put this on later. It's weirdly just gone on Disney Plus. A little sidebar about this, actually. So it was going to go on Disney Plus in a few territories. I think Germany, maybe somewhere else, this week. But it wasn't listed for the UK, and then all of a sudden it came up in the UK, and it is a newer master. It has had some DNR roll-off. Obviously depends on streaming coding on what it's going to resolve grain and stuff like that. It's definitely a newer master. It's definitely got changed colours. It isn't terrible looking. It's okay. It's a shame because I don't know if it looks like a weird HDR conversion as well. There's some weird color funkiness going on with like the greys and the blacks and things like that. I don't think it is, but it could be a bit of that rolling off. It could be something like that. So I'm actually watched True Lies today. Watch this bootleg and see what it looks and sounds like. I know it's the same DVHS master, the old HD master that was out for ages and ages and ages. I'm no issue with that. I've had a copy of that for years and years. There's the 35mm print scan that's out there as well, which looks like a 90s print. It's very crushed and doesn't look great, but it's fine. Apparently, I found out the other day that the DTS audio from the original DTS CD-ROMs from the cinema, which we've had for years, isn't the best version. It's the DTS Laserdisc, which who knew? It's not a home mix. It's not the a near film mix. It's the original mix, apparently, which is great. But apparently, that's the best version. So be interesting to see what it sounds like. I always use the Harry attack when I'm demoing new speakers because the panning in that sequence is fantastic. The way the missiles fly and everything else, it's really good. So I'm going to watch True Lies. I might leave it a couple of weeks and then watch the Disney Plus version and see what I think difference-wise. But at the moment, I think True Lies is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go with the Blu-ray. I only got it because it was $9.99, I think, which is insanely cheap for what it is. I need to find a custom cover, an English cover for it, because it's got a Spanish cover on it. But it's got extras. This thing that gets me, I mean, they put more effort in. It's got the making of, which is presented by Jamie Lee Curtis. It's the same one I'm thinking of. It's got featurette, things of the premiere, teaser, TV spot, trailer, interviews with Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, and James Cameron. It's got tons of audio options. By the looks of it, it's only got an English 5.1 track DTS HD. It's got a Spanish 2.0 track, which it had, like the 2.0 track from the Laserdisc, the PCM. That would have been really cool to have. But it's quite a nice looking, like, a well-presented thing. Obviously, it is a bootleg, grey market, whatever you want to call it. It's not an official release. It's printed. It's pressed. It's not a manufacturer on demand on like a BDR or anything. It's a proper disc. But I'll watch that and update you guys later. So, without further ado, we have my films of the year. So, pull up my list I made on Letterboxd. So, I've done a top 20 because it's really hard to narrow these things down, like impossibly hard to narrow down. So it's taken a little time. I'm actually editing it right now, weirdly, to move one thing up further. That can go there. That can go there. That can go there. Yeah, that's fine. Right, so yeah. The problem is that I don't do this list because, like I said, forget stuff. I haven't watched things like The Fableman. I want to see Wildcat, the documentary that's on Amazon Prime that went up yesterday. There's a few other ones that I really wanted to see and just didn't get around to. The Menu I haven't seen. So the stuff if it's not on this list, it doesn't mean I hated it. There's some stuff I do hate that's not on this list or don't like that's not on this list. Avatar: The Way of the Water didn't make it my top 23 because I've got 3 on here that have just dropped out, but I want to keep them on it to mention them because I enjoyed them, but they're not in my top 20. So the 3 that are honorable mentions are Beast and the Idris Elba movie. I touched on this in the first episode. It's a good little retelling of The Ghost in the Darkness. It's fun, it's stupid, it's lightweight. I really enjoyed my time watching it. I haven't seen it since, but I will probably watch it again. Chippendale Rescue Rangers was in the top 20 for a long time. It has drifted out. It is very good. It just wasn't as funny as I thought it could have been. It was more like looking for cameos, and that was about it. Confess Fletch, which was actually quite high up and has dropped out. I like this movie. People should watch this movie. If you like the books, definitely. If you like Chevy Chase movies, definitely. It's a well-made movie from the director of Superbad and Adventureland, Greg Mottola. It's fantastic, and it is worth watching. Then we get into the top 20 in reverse order. So number 20, we have Fall. I liked this. Very effective little film. Gripping, tense, well made for what it is, low budget. Like I said in the review I did, it's some dodgy CGI moment, but considering how low budget it was, I think it was really fantastic. Then a film I forgot came out and that has creeped into the bottom of my top 20, Scream. I really enjoyed my time with Scream. I thought it was great. It deserves to go at the bottom of the top 20 because I did like it, but it's not stuck with me in any way because I forgot it came out, It does some good things with the characters, and it did a lot of stuff very well. Jackass Forever. Right at the beginning of the year, I seem to remember this being, and it was good fun. It was funny. It was heartwarming, It really got to me some points. It was a good send-off to the Jackass crew. It's obviously a shame Brian Dunn couldn't be there. But it was really, really, really good fun and a good time, quite inventive as well. This was a film that went in and out quite a lot. And it is down the bottom. I do like it a lot, and I respect it more than I like it. No, that's harsh. I do like it a lot. I need to watch it again. I haven't watched it since cinema. I saw it twice in the cinema. And I need to watch it again. I've got the 4K. I could watch it on Disney Plus for the IMAX version. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's the only Marvel title that's gone into my yearly roundup. Because it's the best one. It's Sam Raimi doing Sam Raimi. There's some gorgeous moments. There's some real Evil Dead moments. There's some horrible, creepy, sort of freaky moments, like the Scarlet Witch dreamwalking scene, is it? Yeah, I think it's called dreamwalking. It's fantastic, those bits. But some of its parts, it's got issues. It's a COVID movie. Obviously, it looks a lot better than something like Love and Thunder, which just looked like a proper COVID movie. I like it a lot. That's where it's going to live. It breaks my heart that Sam Raimi didn't do something more Sam Raimi-ish and more like it wasn't my top. It wasn't the top 3 because it's Sam Raimi. Then we have Bullet Train, which I really enjoyed. I loved the hell out of this movie. It was great fun. It's not a great movie. It's not a fantastic movie. This is why it's not in the top 10. But it's a genuinely good time. It's genuinely fun. It's genuinely well made. It's silly. It's kooky. It's got some good cameos. It's mostly for Tangerine and Lemon. I thought they were great. Brian Tyree Henry, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought they were fantastic, and it was great fun. It made me laugh. It had some good fight scenes with Dave Leitch. The whitewashing's unfortunate. It's very white in a lot of ways, but I thought it was good. Then we have film I just talked about, Kimmy. A lot of these films did go in because I watched them quite late because I had to catch up on these things or they just came out. Again, really liked it. Effective little thriller for a film shot pretty much all the way through COVID. It was tense. It was well made. It was pretty much all made in one place. Some really, really good moments. The voice of Kimmy is the on-screen body for Jessica Rabbit, I found out as well, which was like a revelation. She used to be married to Steven Soderbergh. Zoe Kravitz had a good 2022. I thought she was really good in this. She held the movie really well. It was well made, well directed. Action was fantastic. It was a good little film. Then we have Barbarian. I mentioned this on the podcast. Really effective, really, really well made thriller, horror movie. Kept me guessing a lot of the way. Genuinely good fun. Gross, horrible, but not like disturbingly nasty. It had some moments, but it was good. A sadly forgotten film, I think, 13 Lives, Ron Howard, Kids in a Cave movie. Talked about it on the podcast. Genuinely good. Touching, well made, well directed, tense. Colin Farrell, who had a very good 2022 again. fantastic movie, well worth seeing. I feel. Then we have everything all at once. Not as high as some people would have put it. It is in my 12th position. Yeah, it's good. I think it did peak with the fight at the beginning. All the acting's fantastic, the CGI is fantastic, the inventiveness is off the chart. I think it's a little bit too proud of itself with some of it. I did like it a lot. I mean, it's 12. It's outside my top 10, but it is still fantastic. One thing that's going to ruffle the feathers is the film that's above it, which is Ambulance. I love Ambulance. It's a return to form for Michael Bay. It deserves to be number one for the drone work alone. The drone camera work is just outstandingly good. I thought it was a great, tense little thriller. I think that Michael Bay doing Michael Bay is always fun. Not normally this fun, because, I mean, it's got Christopher Cross sailing, halfway through it just to break the tension. It's so well done. It's tense, it's fun, it's over the top, it's stupid in the best ways. It's got a great little gunfight in the middle of LA, which is always worth watching. It's everyone loves gunfight in LA, don't they? I mean, that's kind of a thing. Yes, it's number 11 on my list. I don't think it's perfect. Is it the 11th best movie ever made? No. Is it the 11th best movie of 2022? No. Is it my 11th favorite? Yes. I've got the Blu-ray now, 4K, because I bought it with Gemini Man, like I said. So I might watch that later today after True Lies, maybe. I want to leave it long enough. This is my thing with watching stuff when I get home. When they come home, is that I want to leave it long enough from the cinema normally to forget a lot of it. And I liked Ambulance. It was fun. Now, this went back and forth with Barbarian a lot, but The Black Phone is a better horror movie than Barbarian. It's better directed, it's better made, it's better acted, it's disturbing, it's thrilling, it's spooky, it's creepy. Ethan Hawke is fantastic. Genuinely great film. That's why it's a number 10 on my list. It got fantastic first preview in 2021. It's a 2022 movie because that's when it went to general release. I saw it in 2022. I'm counting it, most people have, as a 2022 movie. It is genuinely creepy, well made, and Ethan Hawke is in 2 of these as well, actually. So he's just like, he's had a good year as well. Then we have The Stranger, which is the Netflix film I talked about on my list on the podcast. When was it? A couple of weeks ago. It's the film with what's his name? Joel Edgerton, that's it, and Sean Harris. It's based on a true story. It's creepy, it's disturbing, it's weird, and it's a good little crime thriller. And I think more people should watch it. It's one of my surprises of the year because I wouldn't expect a weird Netflix movie to grab me like that, but it did. Then we have Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe at number 8. It's great. It's legitimately great. They're back. I think the TV show was better than the series, the movie rather. I think some episodes of the TV show, especially Doppelganger, which is some of my favorite content of the year, that episode had me laughing so hard. And every time I see the moment where Beavis sees the doppelganger, it makes me laugh so much. It's so funny. But Do the Universe was funny as well. It was clever. I don't care about, cameos or cast or anything with this. It was about those two and what they did. And it was funny. It was well made. It's a shame that Mike Judge didn't direct it. I don't think it suffered from it, but I was just surprised more than anything else. Genuinely great, but not my favorite animated film of the year, which was Turning Red. Sent to Die on Disney Plus. It should have been a lot higher. It deserved more, a lot more. It should have been a massive hit. It should have gone to cinemas. And I think we're learning this now. I think that I think that a lot of these streamers are going to have to figure out how to release stuff. Because you took a chance with COVID. I mean, I know a lot of Pixar stuff got shoved to Disney Plus and got buried. Obviously, Beavis and Butthead to the Universe was Paramount Plus. I mean, a lot of these are streaming movies. 13 Lives, Kimmy, which are shunted straight to streaming because we didn't know what cinemas were going to do. They haven't got faith in cinemas anymore. I think that's a really dangerous thing because, unfortunately, it's sticking. It shouldn't do, but it is. They need numbers. They need subscriber numbers. They make more money off those subscriptions than they do off cinema tickets by a long way. Turning Red's great. It's fantastic. It's well made. Again, one of these things that got called woke on the internet because they can't relate to being a pubescent Chinese girl. Is she Chinese? Don't want to be racist here. I think she was Chinese. It's like one hit review here on Letterboxd. 3.5 stars. Periods in my Disney movie. This is outrageous. Fuck you, dude. Fucking incels. It's great. I thought it was fantastic. Next at number 6, we have another streaming movie. Spoilers, the next one is as well. Prey. It's great. It's again, I think it was like the first episode. It should have been a cinema movie. I missed out on a cinema experience for a Predator movie. I am gutted, and I can't get that back. There's no way I can go and see this in a cinema unless they release it in some weird little thing. Dan Trachtenberg is a great director. Hopefully his next movies are also good. Amber Midthunder was fantastic lead. Dakota Beavers was fantastic. The Predator movies are great again after Predators. And I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic and 100% worth seeing if you haven't already. Again, it's sad it's streaming, but hey, what can you do? You can't do anything about it. It's a streaming movie, and streaming movies are here to stay. I think streaming premieres are here to stay. I mean, you always had stuff anywhere, Netflix or Amazon or whatever else. Like I say, that Wildcat that I really, really want to see. That is a Amazon Prime movie. It's I think it's great. It's the Predator's good again. I'm happy about this. Hopefully this new Freddy Alvarez Alien movie will make Aliens great again, and we'll have like a whole new lease of life on this stuff. Again, that's streaming again, but hey, we can live with it. And the last streaming movie on the top 10, at number 5, we have Glass Onions: A Knife Out Mystery. I shouldn't call it Knives Out Mystery because Ryan Johnson doesn't like that. And oh my god, that's a great review. Calling it Glass Onion is such a coward's way to avoid calling it Chives Out. That's fantastic. Yeah, brilliant, fun, well made. I'm not going to talk too much about it because there's too many spoilers and it just came out. It's great. It did keep me guessing. I didn't really guess much of the ending. I got some bits here and there, but great cast. Craig's in his element. The cameos are really good. The plot's really good. The music's fantastic. It's a great film and well deserving of my number 5. It was, however, at number 4 until I messed with the list just before I start reading it out. Brian and Charles, as I mentioned in my what I've been watching, is my number 4. It is a fantastic, like I say, a Welsh Wes Anderson thing, directed by Jim Archer. Easily one of my best films I've seen in a very long time. About a lonely man called Brian who makes a robot called Charles out of a washing machine and a mannequin. It's kind of like Frankenstein mixed with kind of like an American Tale sort of like kid getting to know weird. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but Wholesome, fantastic, well directed, well acted. I've never heard of the character of Brian before. I know he's been in a lot of Ricky Gervais things, but I don't watch Ricky Gervais things. I know he's been doing Brian for a while. I know this was a short. I've watched a short now. It's cute, but it's not as well made as the film. Um, then we have The Batman, Colin Farrell again, having a great 2022. The best superhero movie of the year by far. Um, the third best movie of the year by far, in my view, anyway. Well made, well directed. Doesn't look like a COVID movie. Looks like a film with production design and talent and ideas. Farrell is unbelievable as the Penguin, just fantastic. Robert Pattinson is great as Bruce, and even better as the Batman. I like Andy Serkis. There's not a duff note in this. Zoe Kravitz again. You know, it's such a good movie, well made. Trevor from EastEnders is in it. You know, you can't argue with that. He's had a good year with that and Andor, weirdly. Fantastic movie, definitely worth seeing, definitely fantastic. And then my top two. So I didn't agonize over this a lot, actually. They both sat quite naturally into where they are. And number two, we have Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski's belated sequel to the fantastic Tony Scott movie. It is better than the original in my view. It's just great. It's just absolutely great. It's some great reviews here. He go fast in an airplane, 4.5 stars. Like the original Top Gun, but if it was good, 4 stars. I like the original Top Gun, but this is better. It's heartfelt. It's got great acting. The Val Kilmer thing. It's just great. It's a bit beat for beat. Yes, there's issues like Rooster should be older. Jennifer Connelly is fantastic in it as the love interest. She's age appropriate for Tom Cruise. It's just great. It's heartwarming. It's brilliant. It's got flaws. It's not perfect, but my God, is it a good time at the cinema. I saw it in IMAX. I saw it in regular scope. I've now seen it in Screen X. You know, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. I've seen it 3 times in the cinema. I've got 2 4Ks, and I just love it to pieces. I think it's absolutely great. I think it's the best sequel it could have been. It's just great. There's nothing I can say about it. It's a fantastic movie. But it's not my number one. My number one I don't own on Blu-ray. I don't own on 4K. I've only seen once in the cinema. Is The Banshees of Inisherin, the Martin McDonagh film. Again with Colin Farrell. It's just perfect, isn't it? I mean, Barry Keoghan having a good 2022 as well, because he's sort of in the Batman as the Joker. Great Carter Burwell score. Haunting, beautiful. I mean, I went in there I love In Bruges. I like 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which I've got to watch. And they watched yesterday, actually, and I stopped because I wanted to watch something a bit more lightweight. I've loved his movies. All his movies are really good. They're really heartfelt. They're really funny, though. And I expected to go in to laugh at this, but I didn't expect to be horrified and also be touched. I took away so much from this movie. You know, it was sad, it was uplifting, it was funny, it was beautiful. It was disturbing. You know, there were some real like horror moments in it. It was fantastic. It was just such a good, well-made movie that if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. It's on Disney Plus. I think it's on HBO Max in the US. It's not got a 4K release. I'm holding out that it might be released by Criterion or someone else because I'm hoping it does. If not, I'll just buy the Blu-ray. I don't think it's available over here yet. I know it's out in the US. Let's have a look. The Banshees of Inisherin. No, it's not until the 30th of January, so I can't actually buy it yet. I can get the American imported for double the price. No, thank you. It's got a better cover, but I'm not that bothered about the cover. Yeah, so it's just perfect. I mean, it is funny. There are some great funny moments. I laughed out loud at quite a few moments in it. I thought it was hilarious, but also there were some scenes where I just felt really sad because it was really sad. And there's some moments where I thought, oh my God, that's horrific because it was horrific. You know, it ran the gamut of all these different things because it was like, it wasn't one thing to one person. It was lots of different things to lots of different people. And that was really clever. It balanced all these things really well. I mean, you know, there's literally one line, which involves the word wanking, which made me laugh so much that I couldn't believe it. I was literally falling about laughing. Um, it was so funny. And just some brilliant, brilliant moments. And it was a great reteaming, obviously, um, you know, the In Bruges team of director and stars, because Brendan Gleeson, Colin Farrell, and Martin McDonagh. Obviously, we haven't got Ray Fiennes hamming it up. They've got Barry Grogan, which sort of balances it out. Um, it's it's beautiful. It's haunting. It's funny. It's well made. It's everything to everyone, and it's just fantastic and absolutely my favorite film of 2022. Just a perfect little movie that worked so well in every way it was trying to work, and absolutely, absolutely made me fall in love with it. I will be picking it up on Blu-ray. I know I will, and I know as soon as I do, they'll release like a super duper amazing edition, and I'll be really gutted. I mean, I could just wait and wait and wait and go for the Disney Plus option and watch it on there, but I want to own it. It's all these things. I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast is owning physical media, you know. But like I've been saying, you know, streaming is streaming. Everyone goes streaming now, so there will be a time where streaming has to be accepted as part of the home vernacular by us media diehards. I wish it wasn't. I really wish it wasn't, but unfortunately, that's the way it works. You know, sad, but it is. Um, yeah, really, really, really loved it. Absolutely perfect. Quite a good year for film, but far from perfect. Has its moments definitely, but you know, it's got issues going into COVID, streaming, all these other bits. Hopefully this year it will tighten up and we'll get less of that. There are still some hold offs that I'm sure will, you know, kick in here and there and, you know, become an issue. But I think it's getting better. I think we're getting to the point where these things are balancing out a little bit. And we're getting to the point where COVID's making less of an impact. And we're getting to a place where, you know, we can see movies for what they are and they can work around these issues. It's getting there. Very, very slowly it's getting there. And it's getting there to the point where we won't notice this stuff anymore and we'll just settle into it being quote unquote the new normal. I hate that phrase, but it is the new normal, you know. So yeah, that's my top 20 for the year. So The Fall, Scream, Jackass Forever, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Bullet Train, Kimmy, Barbarian, 13 Lives, Everything All at Once, Ambulance, Black Phone, The Stranger, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, Turning Red, Prey, Glass Onion, Brian and Charles, The Batman, Top Gun, and Banshees of Inisherin at number 1, with honourable mentions to Confess Fletch, Jim Dale Rescue Rangers, and Beast. So, hope you all had a good New Year and good Christmas. I'm going to go and watch True Lies and maybe have some breakfast. And I'll catch up with you in a week, hopefully. I do start my new job next week, but hopefully I'll be able to get something in and get it up at the regular cadence. So until then, let's look forward to 2023.